neighbor wasn't listening to. Go ahead, turn to the other one and say, don't panic. My brothers and sisters, I love to travel. I was speaking to a friend of mine and I was talking about a trip I wanted to take. And I told that individual, I absolutely do not like flying. I will go anywhere. If I could go to Jamaica right now, if I could drive, you could buy me a ticket to go to Florida right now, I would drive. I will get a Greyhound ticket before you see me book a flight to go anywhere. I absolutely do not like flying. It was in 2019, I had the opportunity to preach in Dallas, Fort Worth for a youth conference. And it was while I was on my way back from Dallas. Now, one thing about me is I have a routine when I fly. There's these things called Benadryl. And Benadryl makes me drowsy. And when I take these Benadryl, I sleep so elegantly. I sleep so well. You can knock on the door, you can call me, you can text me, and no matter who you are, you cannot get through to me because those Benadryls knock me out. Do I got a witness I know about Benadryl? And so it's when I touch the ground, I got to Dallas Fort Worth Airport and I popped the Benadryl. And I knew by the time I had to board the plane, I would be asleep because I knew I didn't want to experience the takeoff, and I sure enough didn't want to experience the landing. So I wanted to be knocked out the whole ride on the way back to Cleveland Hopkins Airport. So here it is. Now I pumped the Benadryl and I go through the routine. I didn't even hear the instructions on what would happen if the train was on its way down on the emergency procedure because I was knocked out by the time I didn't feel the takeoff, and I sure enough didn't understand what was going on. So I was knocked out asleep on the plane. And here it is, the plane ran into some turbulence. And the turbulence was so bad that it woke me up out of my sleep. And I thought the Benadryl was doing its job, but it woke me up out of my sleep, Elder. And I'm like, oh, I woke up surprised and bewildered and just shocked. I found myself gripping the side, the post of the chair. I was panicking because I knew that my worst fear was the plane going down, and now we ran into some turbulence, and the plane was shaking. I could hear babies crying. I could hear people panicking, and the captain just had the audacity to come over the PA and say, "This is your captain speaking. We have run into some turbulence. We have everything under control. Don't panic." Now it was just that that message that ended up that said don't panic that made me panic even more. So I found myself gripping the side of the chair, Elder, and I found myself sinking my behind deep into the seat, and I found myself curling my toes, and I was anxious, and I was looking back and forth, and I was making sure my seatbelt was buckled tight, and I was pulling it to make sure it locked in place, and I found myself panicking, and here it is. I was saying everything but calling on the name of Jesus. I said, what in the flying what? And I said, son of a gun. And I was just speaking out of turn. I was angry. I was scared. And I said, oh my Lord, I'm done. And I happened to open up the shade. I can't look out the window. I don't give me a way to see out. And I just happened to flip up the shade. And as I was looking out, I could understand why there was turbulence because we ran into a thunderstorm. And the thunderstorm, I could see it when we took off. It was sunny and cloudy. But now we were in the storm, and it was dark, and it was desolate, and there was lightning bolts, and I was panicking. And you know my panic and my anxiety showed up back there again. And then the captain had to come over the PA again and says, "This is your captain speaking. We have everything under control. Don't panic." Well, my brothers and sisters, I'll get back to that point, but I want you to follow along in the text because it is we find ourselves introduced to the Israelites as they are on their way out of Egypt. They're on their way out of Egypt. And I love that the praise team sung this song because when they sung the song, you understand about being delivered from something. You got to understand that this is your exodus. And the reason you can shout and give God praise at the beginning of this text is because the simple fact is they're on their way out of what held them down. Israelites, they were in captivity and they were oppressed for 400 some years. And that means that there were some people born into slavery. They were born into oppression. They were born into captivity. They were born with the mindset of being captured and in slavery. And I don't know about you, but I know I'm preaching to somebody that knows about being in captivity, knowing about being bound to something, knowing about being captured to something, knowing about being attached to something that is killing you and sucking the absolute life out of you. And now that they are bound, and they were bound, and God rose up a man by the name of Moses to step in the picture. And he had a stuttering tongue, and he qualified. But God rose him up and said, go to Pharaoh and tell him to let my people go. And he said, all right, and he let him go. And now they're on their way. And this is where we get the song. This is my exodus, because he's saying that this is my exodus out of the hell we back. This is my exodus to see some freedom, to see a new transition, to see new life, to see new joy. And I don't know what I'm preaching to this morning, but I want to help you understand that this is your exodus. This is your exodus out of your depression. This is your exodus out of your sadness. This is your exodus out of what you're going through. I don't know what I'm preaching to, but somebody in here is going through something. If someone's dealing with something, I want you to know that this is your exodus. Go ahead and tell somebody on your own, this is your exodus. This is your exodus, because you got to understand, but don't say that you don't need it. You got to understand that your exodus is your way out. Your exodus is your departure. Your exodus is your departure. Your exodus is your coming out. And I don't know who needs to come out of something, but if you've ever been bound to something, you never appreciate your freedom if you've never been in slavery. If you've ever been attached to something that was killing you and draining you and destroying you, once God gives you a little wiggling room, you will run and say, this is my exodus. Yeah. This is your exodus. And here it is, that they were on their way out of what held them back. I just believe that they were singing, this is my exodus. And they were leaving, and they were departing, and they were leaving what they were accustomed to. And as they were leaving, Pharaoh was approaching. Pharaoh was approaching them. But if you read up and you look at verse 6, in verse 6, God hardened Pharaoh's heart. The same God that said, go and let my people go, hardened the heart of Pharaoh. Because God sometimes will test you to see if you really about what you say you're about. Sometimes he will say that you love me, but let me test the love you have for me. He will say you have faith in me, well, let me test the faith you say you have in me. You say you trust me, well, let me test to see if you have the trust you say you have in me. And now that they're on their way out of Egypt, now he sends Pharaoh to go after them. All right. You want to know why the enemy's after your children? You want to know why the enemy's after your family? You want to know why the enemy's after your health? You want to know why the enemy's after you? You want to know why the enemy's after your church, after your community, after your family? Well, can I tell you, you're bound? Look at the text that says, as Pharaoh approached the people of Israel. Let me break down. Israel was, Egypt was built by the Israelites. The Pharaoh's empire was built based on the Israelites. It was built because of the Israelites being in captivity and being slaves to him. They were precious cargo. If Pharaoh did not have what he has, it was not for the Israelites. So now the Israelites are leaving, and he realizes, I just let go of precious cargo. So now, in the process of him letting them go, he realizes, I let go of something. So now he gets, if you look at the text, he gets 600 of his best chariots. He gets 600 of his best folks. He gets the best of the best that come after the Israelites. And it says he's approaching them. And the people of Israel looked up and panicked. It's amazing. They heard them coming first. And then they looked up. And then they panicked. Many of us panic once we see the enemies coming after us. Or once we see that the enemy's coming after us, that's when we panic. But you got to understand, he was coming after them because he valued them. He realized the value that they brought to him. So you want to know why the enemy's coming after you? Well, because you're precious cargo. Because you got value attached to you. Because you got just an old average Joe. You got some value to you. And the enemy's not going to come after something that does not have any value to it. So you want to know why that brother goes your way. Well, it's coming after you because you got value attached to you. You don't know when to shout when to get it. Because I want you to understand that the value that's on you is why the enemy's after you in the first place. You want to know why your heart is going to attack what the devil's coming after you because you're valuable. He wants to know why you attack your valuable. He's coming after you because you got value attached to you. And I don't know who I'm preaching to. I preach to myself because when the enemy's on my back, I know he's on me because I got value attached to him. And you don't know when to shout because value is so good to you and you got value attached to you. That's why he's after you. And he's approaching you. He's coming after you. And they looked up and they see you. And it caused them to fear. But understand this, the devil won't come after anything that doesn't have no value attached to it. And you've been complaining, why is the enemy on my back? Why is the enemy coming after me? Why is the enemy keep coming after me? Well, he's coming after you because you got value to what's going on. If the devil can get a hold of you and put you back in what you was, just look at it. They started to question why they were brought out there. You see, they got scared, they got fearful, and sometimes fear will cause us to talk some foolish stuff. Fear will cause us to say some just radical stuff. Fear will paralyze us and keep us hostage and keep us paralyzed and keep us in some stuff that we should have been out of a long time ago. Because when the Lord sets you free, don't go back to what the Lord set you free from. And once the Lord gives you a little wiggle room, and once the Lord gives you a bunch of freedom, but they start talking foolish because they got fearful. And when they got fearful, they said, well, maybe it's best. Why did you bring us out here? And I just believe, why did you bring us out here? And Moses probably looked back and said, what you just said to me? He said, well, why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? They started talking foolish now because they forgot that the Lord already said, let my people go. And they already were on their journey of exodus. They were already leaving. They already seen the outside world. They were no longer bound in shackles. They were no longer being whipped. They were no longer being beat. They were no longer in captivity. They were no longer in chains. God got them out of where they were at. And now they get to talking foolish, saying, I want to go back to where I was. And there's some folks up in here that are so quick to want to run back to what God set them free from because the devil's on your back. But the devil will have you believe in the fire. It's better to go back than to go forward. Oh, I'm preaching to myself. And I don't know why I want you to know that sometimes in life, God will have you believing that the devil will have you believing that it's better to go back than to go forward. And now, they start talking, well, it was better to leave us in Egypt. There were enough graves, weren't there enough graves in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why did you make us leave Egypt? They were so accustomed to being in Egypt. They were so accustomed to having them withdrawn from them folks. They were so accustomed to being beaten and battered down on. They were so accustomed to being used and treated like trash. They were so accustomed to being slaves and being in oppression. They were so used to being in captivity that once God showed them what they really were meant to have, they weren't used to what it was. And many of us got blessings right in front of our face, but we don't want to attach ourselves to them because we're fearful of what could happen. But fear will have you thinking about the what if. Fear will have you think about what could happen, what people are going to think, what everything is what's going to happen. But I'm here to let you know, God will give you a glimpse of freedom. You better walk boldly into that freedom that God has for you, because who the Son sets free is free indeed. And I don't know about you, but I need some freedom in my life. But I've been in some valleys and I've been attached to some mess that I put myself in. And what's God let me out? Let me out. But the devil is the devil that's a liar. And sometimes he will cause lies to trigger us to go back to what we used to do. And fear will have you stuck at 10 and never taking a risk to go to 11. And y'all missing. Fear will have you stuck at 10 and never risking to go all the way to 11. But fear will paralyze you. Fear will keep you stuck. And when fear keeps you there, you get stuck. Here it is. They say, didn't we tell you this would happen while we were still in Egypt? We said, leave us alone. Let us be slaves to the Egyptians. They talking foolish. Let us be slaves to the Egyptians. Let us be slaves Anybody with a slave mentality, they already gave up. They're already out of where they were, but they already said it was better for us to be slaves. It's better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the wilderness. But Moses told the people, don't be afraid. And sometimes God, sometimes you don't want to hear the eyes. Well, if I was with the Israelites and I was leaving, and the Lord said, and Moses said, don't be afraid, I would have looked at Moses and said, man, shut your mouth. You weren't aware where I was at. You didn't go through what I went through. You didn't experience what I experienced. And you got the audacity to tell me not to be afraid. I got Pharaoh and the enemy coming up one side, and we see a big Red Sea in front of us. And I don't know about you, but it don't take a rocket scientist to know that the river, that the sea that's in front of us is deep, and we weren't made to flip it. We don't have gills, and we can't swim through this. I don't need a college degree to know basic anatomy and basic physiology and basic biology and know that we can't survive in water. So Moses, come up with your brilliant idea, because we got the folks that want to take us back to where we were in captivity behind us, and we got an impossible obstacle in front of us. And I don't know how I'm going to be able to make it. And Moses, you brought us out here. And so you need to come up with a plan, Moses. You got to, and sometimes with fear, because we got to get to thinking, how am I going to get out of this? And then you get to looking up at God. Now, you brought me out here. Now you don't have to make a way out of nowhere. You brought me out here. I'm talking to anybody, and you have to stop over in your living room and look up and say, God, you got to work this out. I'm stressed out. I'm losing my hair. I can't breathe. I'm stressed out. They're calling the doctor. My dad don't pick up my phone. My pastor on my last brother. God, you don't have to work this out, Lord. And now they're at the Red Sea. And now they can't seem to find their way out. And Moses says, don't be afraid. He says, just stand still. And I was struggling with this part. I was struggling with this. What do you mean, God, just stand still? I was reminded around Easter time, my grandmother, when I was younger, I was probably about his age. How old are you? Said I was about 10. Come on. And I went to K&G Bank in Cleveland. My grandmother bought me a brand new suit. Now, y'all see I'm skinny. And I had some pants that didn't fit me, so they were a little baggy. And my grandmother said, get up on the stool. You know, grandmother, get up on the stool, and she grabbed her needle. And I'm looking like this because the needle was pointing. And I was worried because I thought she was going to poke me. And my grandmother, you got to know my grandmother, she was like you did. So she slapped upside my leg. And she said, boy, if you don't be still, I'm going to end up poking you. And I stopped and I said, oh, I trust you. So I was being still. And when I was being able to be still, I was able to see my grandmother was real careful with that needle, not to poke me. But if I was moving around, I would have been able to see that she was carefully working things out in my pants and in my life. Because right now, my brothers and sisters, you in a frenzy. You all over the place. You stressing out. You wiggling and jumping and running all over the place in the midst of your situation. And God said, just be still. I want you to see what I'm about to do for you. And I don't know what I'm preaching to, but you got to sit still. And you got to watch God work some things out of your life. You got to watch God move some things around and orchestrate some stuff in your life. You too busy wiggling around. You too busy trying to work it out. You too busy trying to work it out on your own, with your own intellect, with your own scholarly stuff, with your own book smart. But God says, sit still and know that I am God. What did I do? He said, stand still and watch. He didn't just say stand still. He said, watch. Meaning this is going to do something that you can see for yourself. The only thing that you can do is say, wow, God did it. That God did it. Do I got any witnesses in here that say, God did it, God did it, God did it. I was laying in the hospital room and the doctor didn't know how I was going to make it out. But then you come walking out, you get the discharge. God did it. You had bills stacked up on your table, and you didn't have no money in your account, but God paid all the bills. God did it. You saw it. You got to watch this for myself. Let me give you my testimony. I came to St. Louis about 5 people, and then I never thought anybody would come and join and worship in the place, and I had to look. And just last Sunday, we had about 20-some folks in church, and then I said, wow. I stopped and I looked, and I woke up the next morning, and I said, God did it. There's some stuff that God just do. You can kind of look and watch God work some stuff out of your life. But it isn't until you're in captivity when God set you free. And all you can say is, God did it. Have you been in some relationships that were just draining you, and then you got out of it and said, God did it. You see your kids going crazy, and then your kids get well, and then you say, wow, God did it. You said you were supposed to go to jail, but God gave you 60 more days of freedom, and then you say, oh, wow, God did it. I don't know who I'm preaching to, but there's some stuff in your life that all you can say is, God did it. Yeah. God did it. God did it. God did it. But Moses told the people, don't be afraid. Just stand still. Watch the Lord rescue you today. He didn't say tomorrow. He didn't say a week from now. He didn't say a day from now. But he said that God brought you to it. God don't have to bring you to it. And it's just some stuff in life that God has to bring you to. And he's not going to make you wait. He's going to say, I'm going to work it out just right here. I'm not cooking the dinner for next week. I'm cooking it right now so you can taste and see what the Lord can do. And then here it is. But Moses told the people, don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch. The Lord will rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today, you'll never see again. He said, the Egyptians you see, this ain't in my notes, Lord, keep on dropping. The Egyptians you see today, meaning the enemies you see today, the enemies that's coming after you today, the enemies that's trying to defeat you today, the enemies that's trying to bring you down today, the enemies that's trying to attack your body today, the enemies that came to eat up my flesh and they stumbled and fell today. And you gotta watch God work things out today, not tomorrow, because tomorrow's not promised. You gotta watch God work some stuff out right here on the 29th of Sunday at about 11 o'clock, right now, 11:45. Watch God fight your battles today. Stop praying about God working out tomorrow. Start doing it right now in this place. Right now in Bethel CME Church. Do it right now, God. Do you believe that God can do it today? Today, you gotta watch God do it today. And the introduction you see today, you will never see again. Then he said, the Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm. Well, let's go back to me on the plane. Come on. As I'm closing, I'm on the plane, y'all. Now the turbulence is still going on, and I'm in full panic mode. And I'm gripping my seat, and I see the thunderstorm, and I'm losing my mind. I had a little hair then, but in my hands, I was pulling it out because I was about to lose my mind. I couldn't call my mother and say, well, I'm on my way to glory. I couldn't call my church, I couldn't call anybody because I was worried because my phone is in what airplane mode, and you can't call nobody. And then we hit some turbulence, and then the mask fell down, and I showed up lost it. I was about to lose it. I'm all over the place. I unbuckled my seatbelt. I stood up, and I said, hey! After I said, yeah, to the stewardess, she looked back at me. I said, man, y'all not going to do nothing? And she said, sit down and buckle your seatbelt, son. And I said, well, how's that going to help? And we took our feet up in the air. And then God looked at me, God spoke to me. And God said, put your head down. Everybody else was panicking, but God spoke and said, stay calm. And he said, put your head down. And then God reminded me, he said, well, you got to understand, Brandon. And this is one of the times I heard the actual voice of the Lord. He said, well, Brandon, when you got to Cleveland Hopkins Airport on that Friday, I was with you when you walked into the airport. And I was with you when you got on the plane. And even though you were asleep, I was covering you when that plane took off. And then he said, while the plane was gliding through the air, I was with you then. And then you remember when you woke up halfway down when you were descending, I was with you then. And then when you went into the conference center in Dallas, I was with you then. And when you was preaching, I was with you then. And when you had the altar call, I was with you then. And then when you went out to your friends and kicked it that night, I was with you then. And then he says when you got back to the hotel, I was with you then. And then he says when you checked out the hotel, I was with you then. And then he said I was with you when you went to the hotel, when you went to the airport. And I was with you when you popped your military. And I was with you when you played the Lord. I was with you in church. And he said, let me tell you something, I was with you when this thing was going away. And I'm going to let somebody know that the Lord is going to be with you when it's time for you. Do I got anybody in that know that the Lord is with you as you travel along the way? That the Lord is with you as you travel and travel. Don't panic because the Lord is with you. Don't panic, just get it. Lord is with you. The Lord is with you. The Lord is with you. The Lord reminded me how he kept me for so long. And the Israelites just had to think back about how if he said to let them go, what makes you think I'm not going to be with you? If I brought you to me, I'll bring you through.